Deep in the cold metal halls of the Vixarian Research Center, something terrible was being born. The building stretched for miles underground on the capital world of Vix Prime. Inside its walls, the best scientists in the galaxy worked day and night on their most important project. Project Titan had taken 10 long years to reach this point. Commander Vex Prime walked slowly through the main laboratory, his forearms folded behind his back. His red eyes studied every detail as he moved past rows of glass tanks filled with green liquid. Each tank held parts of what would become the perfect warrior. "Show me the progress," Vex Prime said to Dr. Zek-7. The head scientist. Dr. Zek-7 pressed several buttons on his control panel. The lights in the room dimmed and a single bright beam focused on the largest tank in the center. Inside the green liquid floated a massive figure. Even in the tank it was clear this being was huge. Its body was 3 times the size of a normal Vixarian soldier. "Kale-9 is nearly complete, Commander," Dr. Zek-7 said with pride in his voice. "His bones are made from quantum-forged metal. They cannot be broken by any weapon we know. His muscles have been grown with synthetic fibers that make him 10 times stronger than our best warriors." Vex Prime moved closer to the tank. The creature, inside, looked like a Vixarian, but bigger and more powerful in every way. Its arms were thick as tree trunks. Its chest was wide enough for 3 normal soldiers to hide behind. Even sleeping in the tank, it looked dangerous. "What about his mind?" Vex Prime asked. "That is the best part, Commander. We have connected his brain to our most advanced battle computer. Kale-9 can think faster than any living being. He can see 1,000 different ways to win a fight in just 1 second. He knows every fighting style from every world in the galaxy." Dr. Zek-7 typed more commands into his computer. Images appeared on the wall screens around them. The images showed the inside of Kale-9's body. Tiny machines moved through his blood. Metal wires connected to his spine. Computer chips were built into his skull. His eyes can see heat like a snake. His ears can hear a whisper from a mile away. His nose can smell fear from enemies. We have made him perfect for war. Commander smiled, showing his sharp teeth. For 10 years, the human colonies had been causing trouble for the Vixarian Empire. Every time they sent armies to take a human world, the humans found new ways to fight back. They were like insects that kept coming back no matter how many you killed. "How strong is he exactly?" Vex Prime wanted to know everything. "Kale-9 can lift a small spacecraft with his bare hands. He can run faster than our fastest vehicles. His skin is tough enough to stop laser blasts. But most important of all, he cannot be surprised. His computer brain sees every attack coming before it happens." Dr. Zek-7 pressed another button. The green liquid in the tank began to drain away. Slowly, the massive figure inside began to move. First its fingers twitched. Then its eyes opened, glowing with a soft blue light. "He is waking up, Doctor," Zek-7 whispered. The tank opened with a loud hiss. Green liquid spilled across the floor. Kale-9 stepped out, water dripping from his huge body. He was even more impressive outside the tank. His shoulders were broader than a doorway. His arms hung down almost to his knees. When he stood up straight, his head nearly touched the high ceiling. "Kale-9, Dr. Zek-7 called out. "Can you hear me?" The giant warrior turned his head toward the scientist. When he spoke, his voice was deep like thunder. "I hear you, Creator. I am ready to serve the Empire." "Good. Run a systems check." Kale-9 closed his eyes for a moment. Inside his head, 1,000 different programs started running. He could feel every part of his enhanced body. The metal in his bones felt strong. The synthetic muscles felt powerful. His computer brain was working perfectly. "All systems are working at full power," Kale-9 reported. "I am ready for combat." Commander Vex Prime stepped forward. "Do you know why you were created, Kale-9?" "Yes, Commander. I was made to destroy the human resistance. I have studied their fighting methods. I know their weapons. I understand their tactics. They will not be able to defeat me." "Show us," Vex Prime commanded. Dr. Zek-7 led them to the training room next door. It was a huge space with thick metal walls. Training robots waited in the center of the room. These robots were built to fight like the best human soldiers. They moved fast and fought smart, but they had always been too much for normal Vixarian troops to handle easily. Begin combat test, Dr. Zek-7 announced. 10 training robots activated at once. They spread out around KL-9, surrounding him. Each robot carried weapons that copied human military gear. They moved like human soldiers moved, quick and unpredictable. KL-9 stood still in the center, not moving. His glowing blue eyes tracked every robot as they circled him. Inside his computer brain, he was already calculating how to defeat them all. The first robot attacked from behind, trying to surprise him, but KL-9 had seen it coming before it even moved. He spun around faster than the eye could follow and grabbed the robot with one huge hand. He squeezed and the metal robot crumpled like paper. The other 9 robots attacked all at once. They came from every direction, firing energy weapons and swinging metal clubs. To anyone watching, it looked like chaos. But KL-9 moved through the attack like he was dancing. He ducked under one robot's swing while punching another. He caught a third robot's weapon in his hand and crushed it. He kicked a fourth robot so hard it flew across the room and crashed into the wall. In less than 30 seconds, all 10 training robots were destroyed. KL-9 stood in the middle of the wreckage without even breathing hard. There was not a single scratch on his body. Commander Vex Prime clapped his 4 hands together slowly. Excellent. How did it feel, KL-9? It felt easy, Commander. These robots move too slowly and think too simply. Real humans will provide more challenge, but the result will be the same. I will destroy them all. Dr. Zek-7 looked at his computer readings. His performance exceeded all our expectations. Strength, speed, reaction time, tactical analysis, everything is perfect. Then it is time for the real test, Commander Vex Prime decided. I have been watching the human colony on New Busan. They have been particularly troublesome lately. They will be perfect for KL-9's first real mission. The massive warrior nodded. I am ready to serve the Empire, Commander. When do we leave? Tomorrow. We will take a full battle fleet, but you will be our main weapon. The humans will see what happens when they oppose the Vixarian Empire. As they left the training room, none of them noticed the small dent in the metal wall where one of the broken robots had hit it. It was a tiny mark, barely visible. But it was there, a small sign that even the strongest materials could be damaged if you knew exactly where to hit them. The next day, the Vixarian war fleet prepared to leave for New Busan. KL-9 stood on the bridge of the flagship, looking out at the stars. Soon he would face real humans in real combat. He had been created for this moment. Nothing could stop him now. Or so he believed. The morning sun was just rising over New Busan when the first warning came. Park Dae-ho was fixing a broken mining drill deep underground when his radio crackled to life. All workers report to the surface immediately, the voice said. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Park wiped the grease from his hands and looked at his work partner, Kim Tae-sung. They had been fixing mining equipment together for 3 years. In all that time, they had never heard such urgency in a colony-wide announcement. What do you think it is? Kim asked, gathering his tools. Could be anything, Park replied, but he felt worried. The colony had been peaceful for so long that most people had forgotten there were dangers out there among the stars. They took the elevator to the surface and stepped out into the bright morning light. New Busan was a beautiful sight on any normal day. The colony spread across a wide valley between 2 mountain ranges, tall buildings made of local stone mixed with metal structures brought from Earth. Gardens and parks were scattered throughout the settlement, making it feel like a real home rather than just another frontier outpost. But today was not normal. People were running through the streets, some carrying children, others gathering belongings. Everyone was looking up at the sky with fear in their eyes. Park followed their gaze and saw something that made his blood run cold. High above the atmosphere, dark shapes were appearing. First 1, then 5, then 20. Vixarian warships materialized, out of hyperspace. They hung in the sky like storm clouds, blotting out the sun. Colony-wide announcement, came a voice over the emergency speakers. All citizens report to designated shelters immediately. We are under attack. Park and Kim ran toward the main settlement center. Around them, families hurried past carrying bags and crying children. The colony defense forces were already setting up barriers and positioning their few weapons, but everyone knew it would not be enough. New Busan had only a small militia with outdated equipment. They were miners and farmers, not soldiers. At the colony center, Captain Li Wu-jin was trying to organize the evacuation. He was a good man who had served in Earth's military before, coming to New Busan, but his face showed the strain of an impossible situation. How many ships? Someone called out. 23 warships, Captain Li replied. Full battle fleet. They have enough firepower to turn this entire valley into glass. A woman carrying a baby started crying. What do we do? Where can we run? The caves in the southern mountains might protect some of us, Captain Li said. But not everyone will make it there in time. Dr. Kim So-jin pushed through the crowd. She was the colony's chief medical officer, a small woman with sharp eyes who never seemed to panic no matter how bad things got. She had treated everything from mining accidents to alien fever outbreaks, and people trusted her completely. What, about surrender? Dr. Kim asked. Maybe we can negotiate. The Vixarians don't negotiate, Captain Li said grimly. They conquer or they destroy. Those are the only options they give. Above them, the Vixarian fleet moved into attack position. The ships were massive, each one bigger than the largest building in New Busan. Their hulls were dark metal covered in weapon ports that could level cities. Then the communication came. A hologram appeared in the town square, showing a tall alien with 4 arms and red glowing eyes. Commander Vex Prime looked down at the gathered humans like an adult studying insects. Humans of New Busan, his voice boomed through speakers. I am Commander Vex Prime of the Vixarian Empire. You have 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally. Lay down any weapons and prepare for processing. If you refuse, we will destroy your HFY settlement and everyone in it. The hologram disappeared, leaving the humans in stunned silence. Processing meant slavery. Everyone knew what happened to colonies that surrendered. The adults would work in Vixarian mines until they died. The children would be raised as servants. We fight, someone shouted from the back of the crowd. With what? Captain Li asked. We have mining lasers and a few old military rifles. They have a battle fleet. Park Dae-ho looked around at his neighbors and friends. These were good people who had come to New Busan to build better lives. They had families, dreams, hopes for the future. They did not deserve to die or become slaves because some alien empire wanted to expand its territory. What if we don't surrender, and don't fight either? Dr. Kim said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. What do you mean? Captain Li asked. The Vixarians think they are superior to humans. They always have. What if we challenge that belief directly? An older man named Cho Hyun-woo stepped forward. He had been one of the colony's first settlers and was respected by everyone. Explain what you mean, Doctor. Dr. Kim looked up at the warships hanging in the sky. Single combat. Challenge their best warrior to a one-on-one fight. Winner takes all. That's crazy, Captain Li said immediately. They would never agree to such a thing. Why not? Dr. Kim asked. Think about it. The Vixarians believe they are the perfect warriors. They think humans are weak and inferior. If we challenge them to single combat, their pride won't let them refuse. And if we somehow win, they leave, Cho finished for her. But if we lose, we surrender anyway. We lose nothing by trying. Captain Li shook his head. Even if they agree, who among us could possibly defeat a Vixarian warrior? They are twice our size and 3 times our strength. Size and strength are not everything, Dr. Kim said quietly. The crowd began to murmur. Some people thought the idea was insane. Others saw it as their only real chance. Fighting a full battle fleet was impossible, but maybe one human could find a way to defeat one alien warrior. I'll do it, Captain Li said. I'm the only one here with real military training. No, Dr. Kim replied. You're brave, Captain, but this needs someone with different skills. Then who? Captain Lee demanded. Dr. Kim looked through the crowd, until her eyes found the person she was looking for. Him, she said, pointing. Everyone turned to see where she was pointing. They saw Park Dae-ho still wearing his work clothes and covered in grease from the mining equipment he had been fixing that morning. Me? Park said, his eyes wide with surprise. Doctor, I'm just a maintenance worker. I fix machines. Exactly, Dr. Kim said with a small smile. Park looked around at all the faces staring at him. These were his friends and neighbors. Their lives depended on whatever decision he made right now. He thought about his quiet life fixing mining drills and atmospheric processors. He thought about the small apartment he shared with his cat. He thought about all the plans he had made for the future. Then he looked up at the Vixarian warships and made his choice. Send the message, he said quietly. Captain Lee stared at him. Are you sure about this, Park? No, Park admitted, but Dr. Kim is right. This is our only chance. Captain Lee nodded and activated the colony's communication system. His voice echoed across the valley and up to the Vixarian fleet. Commander Vex Prime, this is Captain Lee Woo-jin of New Busan Colony. We request single combat between your best warrior and our chosen champion. If we win, you leave our system forever. If we lose, we surrender unconditionally. There was a long silence. Then Commander Vex Prime's laughter echoed from the speakers. Single combat? You amuse me, humans. Very. Well, I accept your challenge. It will be entertaining to watch our ultimate weapon crush your pathetic champion. The hologram reappeared, showing Vex Prime's cruel smile. We will land in 1 hour. Prepare your arena and your warrior. This will be over quickly. As the hologram faded, Park felt the weight of 50,000 lives on his shoulders. He was a simple maintenance worker who was about to face the most dangerous opponent in the galaxy. But as he looked at Dr. Kim's confident expression, he began to think that, maybe, just maybe, she knew something the rest of them did not. The hour passed too quickly. Park Dae-ho sat in the colony's medical center while Dr. Kim examined him one last time. She checked his heart, his breathing, his reflexes. Everything seemed normal, but nothing about this situation was normal. Doctor, Park said quietly, why did you choose me? Captain Lee is stronger, Mechanic Young is faster, Teacher BAE knows martial arts. Dr. Kim finished her examination and sat down across from him. Tell me, Park, what did you do before you came to New Busan? I worked in Seoul, fixed things mostly. Elevators, air systems, factory machines. Park looked confused. But what does that have to do with fighting? What kind of things did you fix in Seoul? Park thought for a moment. Everything. Old things. New things, broken things that nobody else could fix. My boss used to say I could make anything work again, even if it was held together with wire and hope. And how did you learn to do that? I don't know, Park shrugged. I just looked at how things were supposed to work, then figured out what was stopping them. Most problems are simple once you understand them. Dr. Kim smiled. That's exactly why I chose you. Before Park could ask what she meant, Captain Lee entered the room. It's time, he said grimly. The Vixarian ship has landed. Their champion is waiting in the town square. The three of them walked through the empty streets of New Busan. Most of the colonists had been moved to safe shelters, but many still watched from windows and rooftops. They all knew their lives depended on what happened in the next few minutes. When they reached the town square, Park's heart almost stopped. In the center stood the biggest creature he had ever seen. Kale-9 towered over everything around him, his massive frame gleaming with built-in technology. Blue lights glowed from various points on his body. His eyes swept the area with cold intelligence. Commander Vex Prime stood nearby with a squad of Vixarian soldiers. When he saw Park approaching, he started laughing. This is your champion? Vex Prime called out. This small, weak human, I expected, at least a soldier. Park looked down at himself. He was still wearing his work coveralls. His hands were still stained with machine oil. His tool belt hung from his waist, filled with the simple instruments he used every day to fix broken equipment. I am Park Dae-ho, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. I represent New Busan Colony. Kale-9 turned his glowing eyes toward Park. I am Kale-9, ultimate warrior of the Vixarian Empire. I have studied human combat techniques. You cannot defeat me. Maybe not, Park admitted, but I'm going to try. Captain Lee stepped forward to announce the rules. Single combat. No outside interference. The fight continues until one combatant yields or is unable to continue. Vex Prime nodded. My warrior understands. Begin when ready. The square fell silent. Park could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. Across from him, Kale-9's internal systems were already analyzing every possible way this fight could go. In his computer brain, he saw himself winning in 1,000 different ways, each one taking only seconds. But Park was not thinking about fighting. Instead, he was studying his opponent the same way he studied broken machines. He looked at how Kale-9 moved, how he stood, how his enhancements connected to his body. Everything had weak points. Every system had ways to fail. Dr. Kim had been right to choose him. Park might not be a fighter, but he understood complex systems better than anyone in the colony, and Kale-9 was the most complex system he had ever seen. I am ready, Kale-9 announced. Park reached into his tool belt and pulled out a small device. It looked like a simple handheld scanner, the kind used to check power systems in mining equipment. Everyone watching assumed he was making sure his tools worked properly. But Park was doing something else entirely. The scanner was detecting the electromagnetic signatures from all of Kale-9's implants. He could see which systems were connected to which, how they communicated with each other, where the main control pathways ran through the giant warrior's body. Most importantly, he found what he was looking for. Every complex system had a single point where everything came together. In machines, it was usually a main control circuit. In Kale-9, it was the connection point between his enhanced nervous system and his tactical computer, located just behind his left ear. I'm ready too, Park said, putting the scanner back in his belt. Kale-9 charged forward with incredible speed. To the watching humans, he seemed to blur across the distance. His massive fist swung toward Park's head with enough force to crush stone. But Park was already moving. Not away from the attack, but toward it. He stepped inside Kale-9's reach at the exact moment the giant warrior committed to his strike. It was a move that violated every rule of combat, but it worked perfectly. As Kale-9's fist passed harmlessly over his head, Park pulled a second tool from his belt. It was a small electromagnetic pulse device designed for resetting stuck control systems in mining equipment. He pressed it against the exact spot behind Kale-9's ear, where the scanner had detected the main neural interface. The EMP burst lasted less than 1/10 of a second, but it was perfectly timed and precisely targeted. For the first time in his existence, Kale-9 experienced something his creators had never prepared him for. System failure. His tactical computer suddenly could not communicate with his enhanced reflexes. His strength enhancers received conflicting signals. His threat assessment programs crashed and restarted, in an endless loop. Kale-9 staggered, confused and disoriented. Nothing like this had ever happened to him before. He tried to swing at Park again, but his computer brain was sending error messages faster than he could process them. Park stepped back and watched as the most advanced warrior in the galaxy struggled to understand what had gone wrong. The humans watching from the windows gasped in amazement. Commander Vex Prime stared in disbelief. What did you do? Kale-9 demanded, his voice distorted by system malfunctions. I fixed you, Park said simply. You were working too hard. Sometimes, the solution is to turn something off and turn it back on again. Kale-9 tried to charge again, but his enhanced body was fighting against itself. His legs moved at different speeds. His arms swung in uncoordinated patterns. The perfect warrior had become a confused giant, dangerous but no longer unstoppable. Park reached for his tool belt again. The fight was far from over, but for the first time since it started, he believed he might actually have a chance to win. Kale-9 shook his massive head, trying to clear the error messages flooding his enhanced brain. His tactical computer was slowly rebooting, but the process was taking precious seconds. Seconds that Park Dae-ho was not wasting. The maintenance worker circled around the confused super soldier, studying him like a broken machine that needed diagnosing. Park's trained eyes could see the small signs of system stress. The way Kale-9's left eye twitched slightly, how his right hand trembled. For just a moment, the tiny delay between his thoughts and his movements. Impossible, Commander Vex Prime hissed from the sidelines. No human should be able to interfere with our technology. Captain Lee watched in amazement as Park continued to move around Kale-9. What is he doing? Why doesn't he attack while the alien is confused? Dr. Kim smiled. Because Park isn't a fighter. He's a problem solver. He's still figuring out how Kale-9 works. Kale-9's systems began to stabilize. His tactical computer came back online, immediately scanning for threats. But something was different now. The perfect confidence was gone, replaced by something he had never felt before. Uncertainty. You cannot defeat me with tricks, human, Kale-9 growled. I am the ultimate warrior. You're the ultimate system, Park corrected. And all systems have bugs. Kale-9 lunged forward again, but this time he was more cautious. His computer brain was now treating Park as an unknown variable, something that didn't fit normal combat patterns. This made him slower, more predictable. Park dodged to the right, then immediately reversed direction. It was a simple move, something any human child might do while playing. But Kale-9's tactical computer had calculated that Park would continue moving right. When Park changed direction, it took a full second for the computer to recalculate. 1 second was all Park needed. He pulled out a small tool that looked like a metal pen. It was actually a sonic screwdriver, used for loosening bolts in tight spaces. He touched it to a specific point on Kale-9's left knee, right where the enhanced muscle connected to the cybernetic joint. The high-frequency vibration lasted only a moment, but it was enough to loosen the connection. Kale-9's left leg suddenly could not support his massive weight properly. He stumbled trying to compensate, but his computer brain was still calculating based on perfect balance. What are you doing to me? Kale-9 demanded, genuine confusion in his voice. Preventive maintenance, Park replied. Your systems are overloaded, too many processes running at once. The watching humans began to understand what they were seeing. This was not a traditional fight between warriors. This was a maintenance engineer solving the most complex problem of his life. Park reached into his tool belt again and pulled out a small magnetic device used for retrieving metal objects from hard-to-reach places. Kale-9's enhanced vision tracked the movement, and his tactical computer identified it as a potential weapon. But when Park activated the device, it didn't attack Kale-9 directly. Instead, it interfered with the magnetic fields that helped coordinate his cybernetic implants. For just a moment, his left arm moved slightly out of sync with his intentions. That moment was enough for Park to step in close and touch another tool to another precise spot. This time it was a small electrical tester, pressed against the point where Kale-9's enhanced spine connected to his lower back. The brief electrical pulse disrupted the nerve signals controlling his legs. Kale-9 staggered again, his perfect balance destroyed by a tool that cost less than a day's wages. Stop this, Commander Vex Prime shouted. This is not honorable combat. The rules were single combat with whatever each fighter brought, Captain, Lee replied calmly. Your warrior brought enhancements. Our champion brought tools. Kale-9 was beginning to understand what was happening to him. His enemy was not trying to overpower him or outfight him. Instead, Park was systematically identifying and disrupting the connections between his biological and mechanical parts. You are clever, human, Kale-9 admitted, but I am still stronger and faster than you. True, Park agreed, but strength and speed don't matter if your systems can't work together properly. Kale-9 decided to end this quickly. He activated his emergency combat mode, pushing all his systems to maximum power. His muscles swelled with enhanced strength. His reflexes accelerated to superhuman speeds. His tactical computer began processing information at its highest rate. It was exactly what Park had been waiting for. Dot. When all of Kale-9's systems activated at once, they created massive electromagnetic interference. Park pulled out his scanner again and quickly identified the new pattern of signals racing through the super soldier's body. "Thank you," Park said politely. "Now I can see everything." He reached for a different tool, one that looked like a small flashlight. It was actually a focused EMP emitter, much more powerful than the first device he had used. But instead of aiming it at Kale-9's head, he pointed it at the giant warrior's chest. "What are you doing?" Kale-9 demanded, raising his arms to block. "System shutdown," Park replied, and activated the device. The focused electromagnetic pulse hit the central processing unit built into Kale-9's chest. For a moment, every enhanced system in his body tried to restart at the same time. The overload was massive. Kale-9 screamed, not in pain, but in confusion, as his perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. His enhanced muscles received contradictory signals. His tactical computer crashed completely. His cybernetic reflexes began fighting against his biological instincts. The ultimate warrior fell to his knees in the middle of the town square, defeated, not by superior strength or advanced weapons, but by a maintenance worker with a basic understanding of how complex systems fail. The watching humans erupted in cheers. Commander Vex Prime stood in stunned silence, unable to believe what he had just witnessed. Park walked over to where Kale-9 knelt, his massive frame shaking as his systems tried to restore order. The fight was over, but Park's work was not done yet. "Don't worry," Park said gently. "The damage isn't permanent. Your systems just need time to reset properly." Kale-9 remained on his knees in the center of the town square, his massive body trembling as internal systems fought to regain control. Error messages flashed behind his glowing eyes while diagnostic programs ran and crashed and ran again. Commander Vex Prime stepped forward, his forearms shaking with rage. "This is impossible. Kale-9 is the perfect warrior, 10 years of development, the most advanced technology in the galaxy." Park looked up at the alien commander while pulling a diagnostic scanner from his tool belt. "That's exactly the problem," he said simply. "What do you mean?" Dr. Kim asked, moving closer to examine Kale-9's condition. Park ran his scanner over the fallen super soldier's body, checking the status of various implants and connections. The more complex a system becomes, the more ways it can break. Kale-9 has thousands of enhanced parts all working together, but they all depend on perfect communication between his brain and his computer systems. He pointed to a small junction behind Kale-9's ear, where biological nerves connected to cybernetic processors. "Right here is where everything comes together. Biological thoughts get translated into digital commands, then back to biological actions. It's amazing engineering, but it's also a single point of failure." Captain Lee studied the readings on Park's scanner. "So when you disrupted that connection, his brain and his computer started sending different signals to the same muscles," Park finished. "Like having two drivers trying to steer the same vehicle in opposite directions." Kale-9 slowly raised his head, his voice distorted by system malfunctions. "How did you know? How could a simple human understand technology that took our greatest scientists decades to develop?" Park sat down on the ground next to the enormous warrior, making himself less threatening. "I don't understand your technology, but I understand systems. And all systems, no matter how advanced, follow the same basic rules." "What rules?" Kale-9 asked, genuinely curious despite his defeat. "Everything breaks eventually. Everything has weak points. And the more complicated something is, the more things can go wrong with it." Park showed Kale-9 his simple tools. "These are basic devices for fixing basic problems, but basic solutions often work on complicated problems too." Commander Vex Prime snarled in frustration. "You got lucky, human. You found one weakness in an otherwise perfect design." "No," Dr. Kim said firmly. "Park found the weakness that was always there. You created a warrior who could handle any expected threat, but you made him completely dependent on his enhancements working perfectly together." Park nodded. "In Seoul, I used to fix factory robots that were much simpler than Kale-9, but they had the same problem. The more features you add, the more things can interfere with each other. The robots that lasted longest were the ones with simple, reliable designs. He looked at Kale 9 with something close to sympathy. You're not really a warrior. You're a very sophisticated machine that happens to be built around a living being. And machines need maintenance. I do not need maintenance, Kale 9 protested, though his voice was still unstable. I am perfect. Nothing is perfect, Park replied gently. That's the first thing you learn when you fix things for a living. Even the best machines break down sometimes. The difference is whether you can fix them when they do. As they talked, Park continued working. He used his tools not to cause more damage, but to help Kale 9's systems stabilize. A small adjustment here, a minor recalibration there. It was delicate work like tuning a complex musical instrument. What are you doing? Commander Vex Prime demanded. Helping him, Park said without looking up. His systems are stuck in a reset loop. If someone doesn't fix it, he could suffer permanent damage. Why would you help your enemy? Kale 9 asked, confusion evident in his voice. Park paused in his work and looked the giant warrior in the eyes. Because you're not my enemy. You're just a person who was turned into a weapon by people who thought technology could solve every problem. I am a weapon, Kale 9 insisted. I was created to destroy human resistance. You were created by people who were afraid, Park corrected. They were afraid that humans might be better at something than they were, so they tried to build something that would make that impossible. Dr. Kim watched Park work, understanding what he was really doing. You're not just fixing his systems, are you? Park smiled slightly. No, I'm showing him something his creators never wanted him to learn. What's that? Captain Lee asked. That being perfect isn't the same as being better. That sometimes the simple solution works when the complicated one fails. And that the most important thing isn't how advanced you are, but whether you can adapt when things don't go according to plan. Kale 9's systems were finally beginning to stabilize. The error messages stopped flashing in his vision. His enhanced muscles regained proper coordination. But something else was happening too. For the first time since his creation, he was thinking thoughts that his programmers had not anticipated. I was built to be unbeatable, he said slowly. But you beat me with simple tools and basic knowledge. I didn't beat you, Park replied. I just helped you understand that you were trying too hard. Sometimes the best way to win is to stop fighting and start thinking. Commander Vex Prime realized what was happening and stepped forward angrily. Enough. Kale 9, you are malfunctioning. Ignore this human's words and complete your mission. But Kale 9 did not move to attack. Instead, he looked at his commander with new understanding. My mission was to prove Vixarian superiority by defeating humans in combat. But this human has shown me something more valuable than victory. What? Vex Prime demanded. Wisdom, Kale 9 replied simply. He could have destroyed me when my systems failed. Instead, he chose to help me understand why I failed. That is not the action of an inferior being. The implications of this statement rippled through the watching crowd. If the Vixarian Empire's ultimate weapon had learned something valuable from a human maintenance worker, what did that say about which species was truly superior? Park stood up and offered his hand to Kale 9. Can you stand? The massive warrior accepted the help, rising to his full height. But now his imposing presence seemed different somehow. Less threatening, more thoughtful. I concede defeat. Kale 9 announced formally. Park Daeho of New Busan has proven himself the better warrior. Commander Vex Prime's red eyes blazed with fury, but the rules of combat had been clear. His ultimate weapon had been defeated fairly, and now the Vixarian fleet would have to honor their agreement and leave human space. The silence in the town square stretched for long moments after Kale 9's formal surrender. Commander Vex Prime stood frozen, his four arms clenched into fists, unable to accept what he had witnessed. Around them, the humans of New Busan began to emerge from their hiding places, hardly daring to believe they were safe. The terms were clear, Captain Lee said firmly. Your champion has been defeated in fair combat. You must honor your agreement and leave our system. Commander Vex Prime's red eyes blazed with fury. This proves nothing. Your champion used trickery and deception, not honorable combat. I used the tools I brought just as Kale 9 used his enhancements, Park replied calmly. The rules said we could use whatever we brought to the fight. Kale 9 slowly turned to face his commander. Park Dae-ho defeated me fairly, Commander. He showed me weaknesses in my design that our creators never considered. You are malfunctioning, Vex Prime snarled. Your programming has been corrupted by this human's interference. My programming is working perfectly, Kale 9 replied. For the first time since my creation, I am thinking clearly. And what I see is that we have been wrong about humans. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her medical training telling her to check on both combatants. She ran a scanner over Park first, then asked permission to examine Kale 9. The giant warrior knelt down to make it easier for her to reach his diagnostic ports. His systems are stable, she announced. No permanent damage. Park's repairs were very skillful. You repaired me, Kale 9 said to Park with something like wonder in his voice. Even though I came here to destroy your colony, you chose to help me when I was damaged. Park shrugged. It's what I do. I fix things that are broken. But I was your enemy. You were a person having problems with your systems, Park corrected. Enemies are made by choices, not by programming. The watching humans murmured their agreement. They had seen something remarkable today, not just the defeat of a seemingly invincible opponent, but a demonstration of the values that made their community strong. Helping others, solving problems. Together choosing understanding over violence. Commander Vex Prime was not ready to accept defeat so easily. Even if Kale 9 has been corrupted by your influence, I still command a battle fleet. I could destroy this colony from orbit. Yes, you could, Captain Lee agreed. But then you would be breaking your own agreement. What would that say about Vixarian honor? More importantly, Dr. Kim added, what would it say about Vixarian wisdom? You came here believing that superior technology and greater strength would guarantee victory. Instead, you learned that human ingenuity and adaptability can overcome any advantage. Kale 9 rose to his full height and addressed his commander directly. Dr. Kim speaks truth, Commander. Today I learned that victory in combat means nothing. If you cannot learn from defeat, this human could have humiliated me, but instead he taught me valuable lessons. What lessons? Vex Prime demanded. That complexity without understanding leads to failure. That cooperation is stronger than domination. That the willingness to help others, even former enemies, is a sign of true strength. Kale 9 looked around at the humans gathered in the square. These people are not weak or inferior. They are different from us, and that difference makes them valuable. Park had been quietly packing his tools back into his belt, but he looked up at Kale 9's words. We're not that different, really. We all want to protect the people we care about. We all want to solve problems and build better lives. The methods might be different, but the goals are pretty much the same. Wisdom from a maintenance worker, Kale 9 said, with what might have been a smile. Perhaps that is the most human thing of all, finding profound truth in simple observations. Commander Vex Prime realized that he was losing control of the situation. His ultimate weapon was now praising the very humans he was supposed to destroy. His demonstration of Vixarian superiority had become a lesson in human values. We are leaving, he announced abruptly, but do not think this changes anything. The Vixarian Empire will not be deterred by one lucky victory. It wasn't luck, Park said quietly. And if you learned anything today, you'll know that force isn't the only way to solve problems. Sometimes talking works better than fighting. Humans talk too much, Vex Prime growled. And Vixarians think too little, Dr. Kim replied. Perhaps we could learn from each other instead of trying to destroy each other. Kale 9 stepped toward the Vixarian shuttle, then paused. Commander, I request permission to remain here for additional study. Absolutely not, Vex Prime snapped. You are Vixarian property. You will return to base for reprogramming. I am not property, Kale 9 said firmly. I am a thinking being with the right to make my own choices, and I choose to learn more about human problem-solving techniques. The standoff might have continued, but Park intervened with typical human practicality. How about a compromise? KL-9 can return with you now, but the communication channels stay open. If humans and Vixarians want to talk instead of fight, we should have that option. Dr. Kim nodded approvingly. Regular exchanges of knowledge and culture, scientists, engineers, teachers, learn from each other instead of trying to conquer each other. The Empire does not negotiate with inferior species, Vex Prime declared. Then maybe it's time to question whether humans really are inferior, KL-9 suggested. Today proved that we have much to learn from them. In the end, practical considerations won out over pride. Commander Vex Prime could not afford to lose his ultimate weapon, even if that weapon was now asking uncomfortable questions about Vixarian assumptions, and the humans of New Busan had won not just their freedom, but something more valuable. Proof that human values and human ingenuity could triumph over seemingly impossible odds. As the Vixarian shuttle prepared to depart, KL-9 approached Park one last time. "Thank you," he said simply. "You showed me that being defeated is not the same as being destroyed, that learning from failure is more valuable than avoiding it." "Take care of yourself," Park replied. "And remember, every system needs maintenance sometimes, even the perfect ones." The Vixarian fleet departed New Busan space as promised, leaving behind a colony that had learned something important about itself. They had faced destruction and found a way to win through understanding rather than violence. They had turned an enemy into a friend and opened a door to a future where problems might be solved through cooperation rather than conquest. Park Dae-ho returned to his job fixing mining equipment, but he was no longer just a maintenance worker. He had become something more. Proof that human creativity, adaptability, and compassion could overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. And somewhere in space, aboard a Vixarian battleship, the Empire's ultimate weapon was asking questions that his creators had never intended him to ask. Questions about the nature of strength, the value of wisdom, and the possibility that the greatest victories come not from defeating others, but from learning to understand them. The galaxy would never be quite the same.